what is inside of your mind?
The things that are in the book.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, but you've already put these things on film. Why do you need to put them in a book?
Well, the book actually, what it does is it collects my notebooks. It collects about a fifth of the images on my notebooks for each project and for some projects that I have not made. So people can see not just the sleek pre-production art that you put in a making of art book, but they can see my process. Like the pale man in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
The first time I draw him is about 10 years before Pan's Labyrinth. I just draw it as an idea, and then little by little how it evolves.
Let me see your notebook. May I?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So this even feels like it's classic.
It is. I bought them in '98 in a tour of Venice with Mira Sorvino.
Yeah.
Doing Mimic, and I found this guy that did these notebooks by hand.
Wow.
And I bought 7 of them, and I filled 3 of them. I think a couple are gonna stay vacant. Actually, can I show you one that I like?
Yes, please.
Because I think you may like this one. This is one of the key images of.
Okay, describe this to me.
Yeah, it's the girl in the flashback, in the main flashback of Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
And what it is a moment that started the whole movie for me, when I understood that the girl as a kid had lost her heart. And I symbolized it with a little red shoe in her hand.
Yeah.
And that's when I understood the movie. This was one of the first images I drew of Pacific Rim. Not a giant monster, not a giant robot, but a little girl with a red shoe.
And what are you writing here?
I write ideas. I can be writing about several projects at once. I can be writing a piece of dialogue that I heard somewhere. You know, I can be writing about a novel that I read, a movie that I saw, a piece of music. You know, it's really they've been for many years quite intimate diaries.
Mostly Spanish?
Spanish and English.
And I know I can see that it's both, but mostly Spanish, though.
Depends on the project.
Yeah.
And what I like is I keep my pen on my pocket.
Yeah.
I keep the little book, and it's sort of the low tech.
Yes, it is very low tech.
But as I said, you know, like the stuff that has a rubber band is stuff that I already did. I mean, I like the sort of 1940s.
Yeah. Now, what's the nature of a monster?
A monster, by definition, is something above or extra out of nature. You know. So the fact is, you can base the monster on natural forms, but you have to magnify them in a way. And the nature of a monster is something that represents something. It can represent a concept like the vampire or the dragon, or it can be simply a force of nature, like the kaiju, the giant monsters on Pacific Rim and in Japanese movies that represent a force of nature. Or in the case of Godzilla, the power of destruction of nuclear energy, things like that.
Yeah, but could you make a nice little sweet film, a love story?
I'm doing it, but it has ghosts and murders.
I know, but can we do it without ghost and murder?
Well, when we talked about it, one day I would love to do The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, the Carson McCullers.
Would you really?
Story. I love is one of those books that has no supernatural elements, but it was very significant in my youth. It was a book that spoke to me at a very personal level, but I'm still busy with monsters right now.
Yes, I know. But can you explain it to me, though, other than the fact that you were influenced by Bradbury and Ackerman and
oh, yeah. I think
you had happy, unhappy childhood, whatever.
I think that whenever you're born with sensibility and intelligence, you're going to have an unhappy childhood. You know, so to some degree, you're not going to fit in the outdoors sportsman world. Right. You're going to channel it somewhere else.
Right.
And as a kid, I was 70 years old. I was a hypochondriac. I read the family medicine encyclopedia at my house, and I diagnosed myself with every disease known to man. I knew I was terminal.
You know, you were interested in monsters.
Always. When I used to go to a church, I was raised Catholic. I would be looking for the gargoyles and the demons. I was never watching.
Yeah, but that appealed to me too. The idea of the gargoyles, because I mean, you could. It's in
all of us. I mean, I think that the way we understand the universe is by sort of codifying it in a dichotomy of angels and demons. You can call them monsters, you can call them superheroes, whatever it is, but we have to mythologize the universe in order to apprehend it. Because if you don't, it's like digesting concepts that are so large, so super or suprahuman that you need mythology to apprehend them, to understand them.
You remember the first show we did when we looked at the new creative artist in Mexico?
Yes.
You know, you've gone in very different directions, haven't you?
We have. I mean, and at the same time, we have all remained very close, like Alfonso.
Read each other's scripts?
Oh, yeah, and Alfonso and Alejandro both came to the editing of Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I was in the editing of Gravity.
You were?
Yeah, the whole process. And Alejandro and Alfonso and I got together to watch Alejandro's movie, give him a critique, an idea. We all read the screenplays. We are perhaps even closer now than we were when we did that first interview.
But you're doing very different things.
Very different things. But that's always
But you
been the
collaborate
case.
in terms of, even though it's different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Alfonso came up with the final line of Pacific Rim. And if you remember, I came up with the final kiss of Y tu mamá también.
Yes, I know.
It's like, it's a constant retro feedback.
Now, what's the final line of Pacific Rim?
Is when he says, you're holding me too tight. Because the guy looks like he's dead and he says, you're holding me too tight. It's and Alejandro, same. He came in and he took out 8 minutes out of the film with me.
Took it out?
Yeah.
Was it hard for you to take it out? Or
No,
he just showed you how smart it would be?
Whenever these guys come in, it's like visiting the doctor. You don't want to stay dressed. You don't want to look fine. You want him to poke you around and tell you what's wrong.
So what's Bleak House?
Bleak House is when in 2006, I was hanging one of my paintings in the kitchen in the house, and my wife said to me, "You can't hack that. That is too weird. Too weird for the kids."
Even your wife thinks you're weird.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Especially.
And my daughters. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to buy my own house. I'll live with you guys. I'll be happy. But every day I'm going to
go to my house.
Yeah, and I bought, now it's 2 homes. It's 10,000 square feet, thousands and thousands of books, books that are from the 1800s.
And that's the picture I showed you. Was
There's
your
a few pictures of that.
Yeah, right. So you actually, how does this work? This may appeal to a lot of men and women.
Well, I think it's fantastic marriage idea.
Yeah, I think it has appeal. I'm not married anymore.
But it has great appeal because then, you know, one of the greatest fights in a marriage is for space.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it doesn't matter if it's a 2-bedroom apartment, 1 room, as long as you know it's yours. And you can do whatever. And the irony is, you look at the house, I do the cleaning, I do the everything. And it's perfectly organized. It's not a hoarder's agglomeration. It's pretty.
She would not be embarrassed if she saw it.
No, she likes it.
But you allow her to come?
Oh yeah, she comes over. She likes it. The daughters are a little less keen to visit. They don't like to be left alone.
And she has the home where you live.
Yeah. Every morning,
that's her space.
I kiss them all. I leave for the day. I come back at night, and we have dinner. We watch TV. We go to bed. Every day is the same. I spend 8 hours on my own.
It's like going to the office for you.
It is, but it is my office, except my office in the house is a room where it rains 24 hours, 7 days a week. I call it the rain room. It's a room that has artificial rain, an artificial window looking out into a thunderstorm.
What's that about?
I like thunderstorms, and I live in California. I had to fabricate one.
That's right.
You know how many
going up to Seattle.
I could have, but I like the weather. I just like the thunderstorms when I wanted. So.
All right, let's look at some of the people you've created. I mean, let's start with Pan Labyrinth. Pale Man.
Mm-hmm. The Pale Man came from the idea that I thought I needed to create an ogre, a child-eating creature that was the ultimate sort of nightmare for a kid. And I came up with the idea of this emaciated figure, and then I removed the face from the figure, and I gave him eyes on the hands. Yeah. Because I thought.
So where'd you get that? Ideas of.
Well, the first thing
eyeballs in the palm.
The first thing a kid displaces in a drawing is the eyes when they are creating monsters. Either it gives the monster 4 or 5 eyes, whatever, but it's the first thing.
They change the eyes first.
They change the eyes. It's the first, because what is the eyes is the soul. And that's one of the first things you attack in a design. And it happened by accident because I was just removing the face. Then I told my wife, we were having dinner. This is a dinner conversation with my wife and I. I say, do I give him eyes on the palms or do I give him wooden hands that he can screw on and they're on a platter? She says, I like the eyes.
I do too. I agree. Now let's look at the Reapers in Blade 2 with the unhinged jaws.
Same here. The thing is, when they're open, the jaw opens like a snake.
Right.
It disengages the jaw and it opens splits.
Right.
I think what you do with the human face is you break it down into elements, and then if you play with an element, it becomes one single element. It becomes a very scary image. I'm hopeless.
You are hopeless.
But happy about it. You know, when after you're 40-something, you start realizing that you are all about specificity.
Specificity.
You become who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and then you distill that and distill that and distill that. Hitchcock used to say that style is specificity and repetition.
Style is specificity and repetition.
Yeah.
He also said, a glimpse into the world proves that horror is nothing other than reality.
It is true. But reality, I think, filtered through imagination. Because even Hitchcock knew that you needed, even although he was working in a realistic fabric, except perhaps in The Birds,
right,
which is as close as he got to science fiction or horror, really.
Right.
You need a detail that is extraordinary to trigger an adventure. So you need to filter it. Like the lady vanishes.
Right.
You know, he needs the lady vanishing to guarantee that an adventure will occur.
You have said that horror has been given a bad reputation, in fact, and it isn't really considered real art.
Yes. I think now is coming to a place where I think that what I've done is varied enough that people know that no matter what size of movie or what genre or variation in the genre I'm doing is completely sincere, and it's coming from my heart. But in the beginning it was hard to start, certainly with Kronos, the first movie,
right,
saying I'm going to make an art movie with a vampire, or with Devil's Backbone, I'm going to make an art movie with a ghost. You know, that's why it's so satisfactory to see them, for example, now on the Criterion Collection. You know,
tell me about that. Yeah.
At some point, we started with Kronos,
right,
and then quickly followed by Devil's Backbone, and they're so beautiful, these presentations. We spent weeks polishing them, and for them to take a place in that collection, which is some of the best films ever made, it's very, very satisfactory and beautiful.
The Penguin series, what's that?
Yes. I was asked by Penguin, the publishers, to curate a collection of horror titles and write a new introduction, because the genre is ultimately, the fantastic genre is very well storied, and if you look back, you are going to stumble upon Oscar Wilde, you're going to Henry James, you're going to stumble on Charles Dickens, and I wanted to show through this collection sort of some of the best examples of the genre. Mary Shelley, Edgar Allan Poe, and so forth are the best known, but we were also introducing or reintroducing an author that is very neglected called Ray Russell, with a title called Haunted Castles that was out of print basically for a long, long time, and I wanted to reintroduce the audience to that. And I wrote a very good introduction, I think, that as a primer for people buying that collection for the first time.
You look around and try to see everything you can possibly see, because it provides a kind of, it provides an experiential quality to you as a creative person.
I remember a quote by Jerry Lewis that said, a director reads everything he can and watches everything he can. You can be reading an article in a magazine. You should always be voracious about that and be curious, because you don't know where the next great idea is going to come from. So I watch TV all the time. I watch movies all the time.
And you know what else you do if you do that? You can put ideas together. You can connect dots. So there's something here, something there. And through your eyes, you make it unique because you see how the two connect.
That's the usefulness of the notebook. You know, the notebook is a collection. It's like kids, when you're a kid and you get a great flower or an insect and you press them in a book. That's what this is. I'm collecting from all over the world. And all.
Frankenstein was the book that influenced you the most?
Perhaps so.
Perhaps so.
I think so. I think Frankenstein is my autobiography. A very strange creature born in a world that he doesn't quite understand.
I think that's you. Yes, I agree. It's certainly. I was thinking about whether you and Alfonso and you guys all might make a film together, like the Coen brothers work together. Rather than just collaborating and coming in and looking on the editing process, You know,
I think that we can stay
you ought to make the
objective,
great Mexican film.
or we would create a great story of murder.
Yeah.
Because we would murder each other. I think that the beauty of collaborating is that every time I visit his editing room, it's his editing room.
Yes.
But if we had our editing room,
No,
directors are like piranhas. You don't put three in the same project. They can visit the tank, but no, there's only one director.
One will
unless you're brothers can do it.
Yeah, that's right. So
Alfonso did it beautifully on the screenplay of Gravity with his son.
So what else are you working on for the future?
Preparing Crimson Peak, which is a gothic romance story.
Yes, of course it is.
In February, with Jessica Chastain, Tom Hiddleston,
I love her.
And Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah.
I'm repeating with him. It's a period piece, R-rated movie. So it's for the first time, this is funny because normally I do my adult concerns, I do them in my Spanish language movies.
Yeah.
And my teenager child concerns, I do them in the American movies like Hellboy and Pacific Rim. This is the first time I'm doing an adult themed movie with adult concerns in the English language.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting for me to try that.
So if you look forward at 3D and you look forward to all the kind of imagery you can create now, what's the future of filmmaking? Where do you think it's going?
I think that the future of filmmaking is a big seismic division between the very small stories going into a different delivery system, and it can be a marriage between cable, video consoles, and internet, and the bigger stories going to cinema.
Yeah, I think you're right. I believe it seems to me that what the story today is how it will be distributed.
Yes.
You know, the means of distribution.
And that will change
and the
everything.
form, whether it's streaming or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the fact that you can, you know, because of the video world today, you can, you can release it worldwide at one time.
But you're right about distribution, because there is, right now, we are about 5-10 years, no more, on the threshold of someone coming with an alternative to distribution that would change the paradigm.
Yeah.
Because right now, that's why the paradigm is holding. Distribution still being done in the same basic way that was done in the beginning. That's what needs to change.
Great to have you here.
A pleasure always.
The book is Cabinet of Curiosities, My No Books Collections and Other Obsessions. You can buy that in the bookstore. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.